Normal temperature. Normal temperature.
Show here yet.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday. So we're going to start with an initial message from the book Our Daily Bread, psychographed by Chico Xavier, by the Spirit Emmanuel. The message that we're reading is number 88, titled Corrections. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as children. For what children is not disciplined by his father? Paul to the Hebrews 12:7. Blessed be the spirit that comprehends the correction by the Father and accepts it graciously. However, few individuals reach this acceptance and understanding. At times, the generous reprimand from on high, symbolizing a dedicated love, reach man's campsite, translating sacred and silent warnings. Nevertheless, in the majority of cases, the incarnate mind repels the saving jab and submerges into a rebellious night, thereby eliminating valuable possibilities and qualifying as an unbearable misfortune the renovating influence destined to clean the sad, dark road. Many people facing the regenerating phenomena seeks out the spectacular flight from this difficult situation and give in to lifeless, slow suicide, abandoning themselves and becoming indifferent to their destiny. He or she who conducts himself or herself in such a way cannot be treated as a child, since he or she isolated himself or herself and fled from the divine providence, and create a compact wall of shadow between his or her own heart and the paternal blessings. Those who understand the corrections from the All Merciful readjust themselves in a new, promising circle of life. Once the intimate tempest is overcome, they reevaluate the opportunities of learning, serving, and constructing, and based on their bitter experience of yesterday, apply the gratitude of superior life, looking ahead to tomorrow. Do not forget that evil cannot offer anyone a rectification. When the correction from the Father reaches you on the path, accept it humbly, fully convinced that it constitutes a true message from heaven. Friends, Emmanuel in this message is reminding all of us, as we're studying the book Action and Reaction, that our actions, there is a effect, there is a reaction. In our lives, there will be opportunities for us to correct ourselves. And the way that that will be done in our lives is through our day-to-day service, our day-to-day struggles in our lives, and opportunities for us to truly apply ourselves. Not, as he says here on this message, putting ourselves aside as the victim or staying in idleness and laziness. He's saying, let us work to really transform ourselves. And that work, that service, in turn, will help us overcome those obstacles. We want to complement this message with this phrase from Emmanuel, also psychographed by Chico Xavier in another book, that says that every time that justice comes to us to settle our accounts, if it finds us working for the benefit of others, the divine mercy orders that the execution be suspended indefinitely. So the only way for us to truly redeem ourselves, to correct our wrongs, is through our service to others. And when divine justice comes to knock on our doors and see that we're working tirelessly, not once in a while, that sentence can be postponed indefinitely. And that's exactly the case that we'll study today in the book Action and Reaction. We'll see a case where when we're serving and applying ourselves, God sends his messengers and truly help us overcome our obstacles in suspending, sometimes indefinitely, the obstacles that we have to go through. So with that, we invite you to our initial prayer.
Let us feel the presence of God in our lives. And the invitation to deeper awareness. Dear God, thank you for bringing us today in this cozy environment that embraces all of us and invites us to greater opportunities to serve. We ask you, dear Lord, to help everyone who feels a particular need and assist all of us in greater illumination. May everyone who has their names in the book of prayer at the Spiritus Society of Virginia and Kardec Radio find helping hands, solutions, but most of all, a new understanding and a new disposition to help, to assist others who are in greater need than us. Feeling your inspiration, enveloped by your protection, we thank you for the permission to begin this session today, and so be it. All right, so our children have a special session with Miss Paloma and Isabella. I hope you enjoy because it's all about evolution. Okay. This book is only 20 chapters. We have already covered 15. Today we have chapter 16. And this book is about several stories, several true stories. And each chapter is almost like a new story. And today Andre Luiz invites us to a beautiful story that brings a lot of hope to us. It's a story of a man named Adelino Correa. Just like every one of us, Adelino had previous lives. In previous lives, we made some good choices, we know, but not all the time. Here and there, we made choices that, to date, reflect in our lives. And it's very important to know that we are reincarnated on this planet to begin anew, to regenerate ourselves. But before regeneration, inevitably, we are going to go through the steps. The ladder of evolution has other steps which require a form of trial, a form of atonement, a form of expiation. Why? Because we tend to repeat the mistakes. So life will have to educate us by bringing us constrictions and restrictions. And if we attempt to go to the wrong side again, more help will come to make us stay on track. Because in this life, we can no longer repeat those mistakes. Why? Because we are living the ultimate reincarnation. Right now, after millennia of trials and expiations on earth, we are closing a chapter, hopefully, when we are being ready to regenerate ourselves. So we can no longer afford the same old conditions. And this is mostly for us who are spiritists. And if people say, I'm not a spiritist, I just like it. Well, you know what we're talking about. Whether you label yourself a spiritist or not, you know it. If you know the truth, can't go back and say, I don't know anything about it. It's already here. It's clear in our minds. And this lesson was also learned by Adelino. At some point, it's so beautiful to see that at the beginning of the chapter, to see how things happen. Because when we are praying, the good spirits have already noticed that long before we started asking for help. They knew we needed help. By the time we talk to somebody to ask for help, they are already intervening. They intervened before we even asked. And that's the beauty of these books, because Andre Luiz shows to us the order of events, that there are always good, loving spirits keeping an eye, watching over us. It's so good to know. If our children just knew that everywhere they are, there are loving and kind spirits who are constantly keeping an eye on them, they would never think, I'm alone, I'm abandoned, nobody likes me, yada, yada, yada. Never. Because they know that their loving eye is on them 24/7. And we should feel the same. Adelino, it was a beautiful event that they had in the Spiritist Center. And Silas, the instructor, Andre Luiz, Hilario, and others were visiting the Spiritist Center, just like ours. And Adelino was there. And they were asked to help him. He was a wonderful speaker who caused tears to flow as he touched the fibers of people's feelings. He was simply dressed. Adelino showed that he was a worker undergoing difficult circumstances. What we know thus far is that there are many loving minds asking the instructors to help Adelino. He is undergoing financial difficulties, but you know why? Because he helps others. He forgets about himself. The little that he has, he's always reaching out to others. Adelino is special. And he was married, but when his eldest daughter was born and was just a few years old, the mother just abandoned the house. And he adopted 2 boys in spite of it all. And besides his financial constraints and the children to care for by himself, being the breadwinner, he still is very faithful to his works in the Spirit Center, reaching out to people who are poorer than him, etc., etc. So this is a special man. But just like us, he has problems as well. And what we know, and I'll read just a bit, the dialogue. When a sweet, discarnate old lady approached, it's important for us to know how things happen. She knew Instructor Silas personally and said, "My dear Silas, I would like to ask for your assistance on behalf of our Adelino's health. I've noticed that he has become more uncomfortable lately due to his open sores. So he has eczema." And Silas says, "Yes, yes, his case deserves our special attention. Because he thinks about others' needs instead of his own," the woman said. "Two of our doctors have been taking care of him when he leaves his body during sleep." So remember, when we sleep, that's the perfect time to be treated. If we just know how to sleep, it can be spiritual treatment every night. If we know how to put our minds on the right track, having spent a day on the right direction, we're going to deserve, says Andre Luiz in another book named Evolution in Two Worlds, Chapter 2, every night, if we have merit, will be cared for by the good spirits who will come and treat us. But we need to prepare ourselves to sleep. Adelino is being assisted by two doctors from the spiritual realm. So, how do I prepare myself better to go to sleep? Not now, because now it's 11 a.m. We're not supposed to sleep now. But later. I can't go to sleep or even take a shower. Usually we take a shower, we don't notice we take a shower. The other day, a friend of mine who has a kid Virginia's age, one of her classmates, the father, so funny, said, my son took a shower. He forgot that he has taken a shower. He went back again and took another shower, and then he realized, oh my gosh, that's a big deal for children. 2 showers in a row, first day. Everyone who has kids know that they run away like the dogs, unless you have a golden retriever who loves water, but every other dog runs away. But this kid forgot, and we're just like that kid. We take a shower, and we're thinking about the 10,000 things in life. We're not benefiting from that passes. Tell your children, now it's time to be mindful. Look at the body and say thank you. Soap it up, being grateful. Sing songs that bring health. And then visualize that water is ridding ourselves of toxins and bringing revitalization to us. That doesn't mean we're not going to get sick, but we're probably going to recover faster, or we're not going to get as sick in life. And then when we go to sleep, we pray, we thank God. Like doctors in science, they say, we do the 3 blessings every night. And ask your children, tell me 3 blessings of this day. And they're like, I don't remember. Okay, let's go back to the morning. What did you have for breakfast? This. Okay, remember now the day? What were the 3 things, the top 3 in your list today that you'll be grateful for? Because science proves that people who are grateful and express gratitude, they have better mental health, they have better stamina for their daily lives. So it's a choice. Adelino knew how to do it, so he was being assisted. And then, but look at Adelino, and the description of Adelino is amazing. And why does Andre Luiz describe these details for us? There is a reason. Surrounded by the radiant vibrations arising from Adelino's thoughts. Because he focused on the sacred purposes of the good, Adelino seemed like a worker dressed in light. Where does he get this light from? And if you see the rest of the story, you'll be even more surprised. You think, oh, he's a saint living on earth who has had many reincarnations like that. Is that right? Well, and then another person approached, a young discarnate man. Another person. My dear sister, now Adelino is having financial problems. So he has a line of people saying, please help Adelino, please help Adelino, please help Adelino. Everybody's asking for his help. And Silas said with a smile of benevolence, don't worry. Adelino is in a web of fraternal affinity that he has woven for himself. A lot of friends are supplying him with the resources he needs to faithfully carry out his caring task. Circumstances of a material nature will come together in his favor as a consequence of his acquired merit. Adelino's credits are truly enormous, despite a few remaining debts. Wow. Who is this Adelino? Thank God we will know. We will know that he's selfless, very selfless. And he was abandoned by the wife, but he kept faithful, raising his daughter by himself and even adopted two other boys. We're so selfish, in contrast to Adelino, that when we think about opening the house of our homes to children, to having children, we're we think a million times, forgetting that we have a list of debts with 10,000 other lives. That's how our society is nowadays. Our children are being raised no longer to create families, and that's a problem. We can't go back to the models, old-fashioned ways like, oh, girls have to be prepared to be wives and mothers and boys to be the breadwinners. That's not what we mean. Boys and girls need to be prepared that one day they will fall in love, they will get married, they will have children, and then what? You were not prepared for any of this. Many nowadays don't even know how to cook. And that's a misery. Because you can make a lot of people happy at home if you cook well. A lot. Well cooked. Imagine if you go home today and there's a beautiful table. You feel like home. And that's why many people don't feel at home anymore. We don't cook. We don't want to clean. We don't want to do anything. We want to live like in a hotel, right? Somebody cleans, somebody does it, and we go just sleep and stand up and walk around. That's not a home. No wonder depression is escalating. No wonder anxiety is escalating because our homes are no longer homes. No smell of that food that we cooked. So, we are not preparing our children to be happy, to understand their wife or their husband in the ups and downs of life, because it's going to happen. To be patient with their children, with one another. And then we see the disasters that are happening, families that are being destroyed every day. Because what do we teach them instead? Marriage is terrible. Many parents say that. Don't go there. It's so hard. It's so difficult. Children, oh my gosh. And then they are raised listening to these words and these phrases, which is so paradoxical because we are into marriage, we have children, but we're preaching them. And then we're just investing in their own disaster. Adelino is an example of someone who was raising his kids, teaching them from his own experience. He didn't stop helping others because his wife abandoned him, because of his financial constraints, because of his physical health problems. He continues teaching them that we need to reach out to others and care for one another in a family. It's a twofold work inside of our home and outside of our home. They are not mutually exclusive. They complement each other. If I focus only on my family, that's not the only thing. If I focus only on the universal family, that is not the only thing. I need to do both to really live in harmony and in peace. And Adelino is doing just that. But has he been a saint in previous lives? Was he? No. And that's the most beautiful part of the story. Who is Adelino? The story is shocking because in his last incarnation, the very last, the previous one, a century before he was there, it's not like a million years ago, just like 100 years ago, Adelino was incarnated as the, let's say, bastard son of a man who was very powerful, who was a slave owner. He had his father, Gaspar, had lands, slaves, and Adelino was one of the children of Gaspar. But he liked Adelino, though he was the child of a relationship he had with a slave woman. But he adopted Adelino. He loved Adelino. And he made Adelino his preferred son. But Gaspar was a crazy man. He was cruel. He didn't think twice to punish the slaves and to do the whole 9 yards that we know in history. That should be taught in schools. Of course it should be taught. Because it's facts. In schools, we teach facts. We're not teaching opinions. So, of course, we should teach about slavery in schools. And the people are trying to blind us up. They are not scientific at all. Because science proves to us that slavery is a fact. It existed. And we in Virginia still feel the side effects of it. We still have great collective debt towards people who are African Americans. Of course we do. For us who are Brazilians, double debt, because Brazilians were also slave owners. So that's something for us to think about and pay attention. So he was feared by everybody, Gaspar, the father. He was feared. But you know, Adelino, in that life, with the father, they got along well. They were good friends. But at some point, when Adelino is like he's 21 years old only, the father's 40 some. The father wants to get married to a woman that is Adelino's age. His name wasn't Adelino, but I won't give another name because it's going to be very confusing. So When Adelino sees that 20-year-old woman coming into the life of the family, boom, he falls in love. Ay, ay, ay. He is his father's best friend, but now there's a conflict of interest here. What does Adelino do? He says, well, it's my dad's wife. No. He says, I don't care. I want her. And she likes him too. He finds a way. Well, there's the whole story is in the book. But summarizing, Adelino in that life finds a way to dodge the father. And at some point, he says, it's not going to be possible to live together. So he calls in 2 people who work in the farm and say, you're going to help me get rid of Dad. But in a dramatic way. He's burned in a barn in the farm. Adelino in that life can hear the father's screams. It's tragic. Nobody knows the son did that to the dad. Well, at the end of the day, he gets the wife that he wanted. He travels to Europe, trying to forget his mistake, and after 5 years, he can't forget it. His dad is more alive than he imagined, and is obsessing him day in, day out. He goes mentally ill. That's the end of his life. But when he discarnated, the father was right there waiting for him. Now they are enemies. The father for 11 years is torturing his son in an unforgivable manner. Torturing. Till the day they are rescued, especially Adelino. He's rescued, taken to this institution, bless you, this institution. He's taken there, he's treated, and he turns it all around because he repents so deeply that he starts helping people every day. After he recovered, he started helping people in the spiritual realm and helping and helping and helping and helping and help. He deserves a new reincarnation. And now he's reincarnated as Adelino. He became a spiritist. See, Adelino has light. Not because he has been a saint for lives, because in this life he made a decision to stay on track. In this life, he said, I had everything. In this life, I won't have everything. In that life, I didn't respect the sacredness of marriage. Now, I chose a wife that is not going to respect it either. We attract what we have given. And who is the first daughter? The daughter. The very woman that he married and traveled, for whom he killed his father. Because now he needs to re-educate her. As a daughter. And the 2 kids whom he adopted, who are they? They are the very 2 men he paid for to do the works killing his father. We look at our family, So funny how when we have children, I remember it's such a, oh, it's almost like a lullaby. It's good that we don't remember anything because for sure on the behind the scenes, either we were doing bad things together or we were doing bad things against one another. Rarely we're going to be in a family where we've been doing the good for lives together. Rarely. And that's why we need to teach our children today that family is not a game. It's not for pleasure. Oh, I love my wife because the other day a man said to me, I love my wife because she works, she helps me pay the bills, and she cooks. And I'm like, is that the reason why you love your wife? No wonder she thinks you don't love her. Because that's not love. That's business. It's business. I love my wife because she brings money to the table. That's business. And there will be times in which we won't have everything. So what? But then, this chapter ends telling us that Adelino had eczema because of his memories of burning his father up. The eczema that he developed is about his very memories about what he did to his father. And now it's burning in his very skin. But he's on the right track. We're still missing one person in the story. Where is his father? From a previous life. Gaspar. Because he has few debts, and there's one more debt he needs to pay. When you take somebody's life away, you need to give it back. That's why we're parents too. Because it's a good opportunity to give the life back. And it's funny when we hear our society that is so in a sleep mode, conscious, in terms of their own conscience, when they think, oh, it's my body. That life is not yours, and you need to give that life room to come out. Because we're giving back often what we took away, not all the time. So our children cannot come to us and say, I knew you killed me a previous life. No, please don't go there because God made us forget. And we can't go there. We can't say this about our parents either. But where is Gaspar? And this is the most beautiful part of this. Because we think we have children just because we want, right? I don't know. I just feel like it. No. We don't have children because we want. We don't adopt children because we want. It's because we have to. So, this is how a surprising thing is going to happen. And I'll read a few excerpts because the way Andre Luiz describes is extraordinary. Adelino is not the president of a country, a CEO of any company. He is just a person like any of us on earth. And look at the amount of help he's receiving. Now the director of the Institute, Mentor Druso, is coming in person. So in the company of Druso, Silas, two highly experienced sisters from the institution, Andre Luiz and Hilario. Imagine all these spirits together. They traveled from the institution to Adelino's home. I was astonished, says Andre Luiz, when our team stopped at the door of Adelino's house, which we had visited the night before. Two familiar helpers were waiting for us on the doorstep. So besides this huge team, it's like an entourage. You have two more coming from within. Why? Because we know Adelino has merit. He helps people every day. So he has people helping him more than we can imagine too, in spite of that tragic life. For God, our past is really past. What matters is the now. And two familiar helpers were waiting for us. After mutual greetings, one of them approached Mentor Druzo and said respectfully, Director, the little one will be here in half an hour. Who is that little one? The great mentor thanked him and invited us to follow him inside. The clock on the wall indicated 2:20 a.m. Expectantly, we followed the supervisor into the room where Adelino, as far as we could tell, had just fallen asleep. Druzo stroked his brow for a few seconds, and then we saw Adelino rise from his physical body as if he had been drawn out by powerful magnetic levers. He fell into Druzo's arms like a trusting, happy child. My friend, the time for the reunion has come. Terrified, Adelino began to weep, unable to leave Druzo's supporting arms. Let's pray. Always a prayer. Always a prayer. Always a prayer. Before anything. So when couples say, we want to have children, pray. You don't need to look at the temperature, this and that. Just pray. Pray before you do anything this great. Some couples say, we don't make it to having children. Do you pray? But when do you pray? You pray the day after. You pray once and then pray before you do it. Oh, Vanessa, then I'll be turned off. Then don't do it, because if you don't have the help of the good spirits, pray. Pray. And in this case, they pray. We'll hear the prayer later. But after the prayer, Adelino doesn't know exactly what's happening, but he feels something is happening. And then, when Druzo finished, everyone felt deep emotion. Adelino woke up crying. He doesn't know why he's crying. We could see his inner joy, but he was unable to fully recall our meeting. A few quick minutes of expectation, we heard a baby crying outside. Supported by Druzo, Adelino got out of bed and walked to the door, opened the door, and saw a newborn baby crying helplessly, watched over by friends. You're not gonna meet your kid because you want. Even adopted, foster parenting, it's the ones that are made to be. The good spirits already know. All we need to do is pray and be of goodwill. The child who comes through the womb, the child who comes through foster parenting, the child who comes through adoption, they are as much a child of ours as anybody else. Because all these books show to us that it doesn't matter the ways through which our children come, they are our children. And if people don't feel it, they are materialistic. Adelino, said Mentor Druzo, this is the father you harmed. He has just been rejected by the maternal love he does not deserve yet. Because his father, Gaspar, in a previous life, often separated mother and children. So now he is an abandoned kid too. And he has come to you, his regenerated son. Adelino is the expression of a regenerated person. Adelino didn't hear Druso with his physical ears, but he did hear him in his mental tempo as a loving appeal from heaven, bringing him one more abandoned, unfortunate child. Taken with inexplicable joy, he embraced the baby in a spontaneous gesture of love, and holding him to his chest, he went back inside shouting with joy, my son, my son. Highly moved, Silas informed Hilario and me. Martin Gaspar has returned to the physical experience, seeking refuge in the arms of the son who disdained him. This is the story of our lives. But as Daisy said at the beginning, why is Adelino receiving so much help? Because of what Daisy showed to us. And I'll just share this slide with our friends over the internet too, so they can enjoy this learning with Emmanuel. Of all things, this is the most important part of all. There. Every time that justice comes to us to settle accounts, if it finds us working for the benefit of others, the divine mercy orders that the execution be suspended indefinitely. For everything that Adelino has done, that did in the past, in this life, he is anew. What if he had decided to say, like many people, oh, my wife abandoned me, it's so hard to take care of a child. I'll give this child away to somebody else because I don't know how to be a dad on my own. Many people are like this. Or let me remarry and treat that child without love. What if he had chosen to be what he was in a previous life? Selfish, egotistic, self-centered. His eczema wouldn't be what it is. It would be worse. Many things would be worse. That's why the title of this chapter is Mitigated Debt. If we choose to be selfless, if we practice it daily, we will have also our debts softened. And this is the rule. The divine justice goes along with mercy. But if we are not focusing on the things we need to do, we'll be eaten up by our own choices. It's like when you have credit card debts, and instead of focusing on paying, you keep spending. You keep spending. You keep spending. What's going to happen? And the same for life. We all have debts. There is no single minute doubt about it. Helping others is the least we can do. Very least. But it's not like once a week, once a month. We're talking about daily choices, and it begins at home. In the Spirit's book by Kardec, it says clearly that if we decide to live a life of the selfish, couples who do not have children, don't want to have children, people who want to live alone and not have children and not form a family and live only for themselves, this is the life of a very selfish person. No, we're not going to go there now today and adopt somebody. No, I don't want to be selfish. I need to open myself up. Because if I keep living that selfish life, I won't regenerate myself. And they say only those individuals and couples who become missionaries are excused from forming a family. Missionaries is not like a once a month thing. It's our choice. Family is the number one mechanism to regenerate ourselves. Adelino, from Adelino to all the cases we've studied in action and reaction, every case is about family. If we want to regenerate ourselves, we need to focus on our families. The universal family and the closest ones. We are being called to a very simple step. Trust God, love God above all things, and love others as yourself. Jesus said it's very simple. It can't be complicated, but we complicate because we are afraid. Daily we are afraid. So I keep things, because what if tomorrow somebody takes it away? I don't have the money that I need, so I keep the money there. Like a woman told me yesterday. Yeah, she's only 30 something. And she said, in a few years, my husband and I are going to retire. Wow. Yeah, we have investments. We're working hard. But I want to live elsewhere, where the pace of life is better. Wow. Wow. As if life is the way we want. Because Mentor Joseph said, as much as you can help her, Vernice, because cancer is just around the corner. To wake her up and see that drinking wine every day, enjoying fine restaurants every day, and planning trips is not going to save her from awakening to life. No, we're not here to be retired. We are here to work. We're not working for others. We're working for ourselves. So we are all invited to think of this. That our credit cards in the spiritual realm are maxed out. And we can reduce it. And divine mercy is amazing. We don't need to pay it off. We don't need to wait for spiritual bankruptcy. Because it happens. When we keep on doing the bad, we enter spiritual bankruptcy. What do we do to reduce the debts? It's better than any deal on earth. Just do the good. Help people. And naturally, our debts will be mitigated. Why? Because every time that justice comes to us to settle accounts, and it will, and it does, if it finds us working for the benefit of others, the divine mercy orders that the execution be suspended indefinitely. That doesn't mean, like Adelino, we're not going to have problems, financial problems, health problems. We will, but it's going to be mitigated, softened, decreased. Are these good news? They are wonderful news. It's easy. Just think of others. That's it. And let's train our children to do the same. Christmas is coming. They're thinking about Santa's list. And I remember talking to Virginia, said, Virginia, you see how God spoils us? He gives us everything. The problem is when we spoil ourselves. God spoiling us, it's his problem, not ours. But when we spoil ourselves, we're being selfish. 10,000 gifts, a huge list like we do in America? No, No, we can't go there. That's the least we can do for our children, to teach them moderation. Be content. Temperance. Because in this new generation, with the climate going the way it is, things will change sooner than we imagine. The pandemic is just the beginning of a lot of awakening waves for all of us. Good news, the workout was strong. Now we are ready. We are ready for, all of us, we will sit down and exercise exactly what we read in the chapter. Feeling the presence of the good spirits. The mentors say, it's important that we practice here so when we go home, we keep practicing it. Feeling the presence of the good spirits, applying the passes, their relationship with us. So we receive it from them and feel the spirit doctors caring for us, because in this room, there is nobody who is not loved. We're loved more than we imagine. There are many spirits who love us, who care about us, and they know exactly what we need.
Welcome to the Virtual Passes Room. Emmanuel, the spirit mentor of Chico Xavier, once stated that thought is life. Thus, we can create the healing mental state right here and now. In preparation for the virtual passes, we would kindly recommend the following. Be certain that you have a real need to receive passes. Do not use the room simply out of curiosity. Casual visits to the room will negate its future benefits when needed. When using the room, have gratitude and show respect as you would when visiting a physical spiritist center. During the passes, silently evoke God's protection as well as Jesus. Also pray to your guardian angel. Concentrate on positive thoughts, thereby avoiding negative ones. Breathe deeply, slowly, calmly, and confidently. Always be ready to pray. Let us begin this passes session by praying as our guide and model, Jesus Christ, has taught us with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Now, let us feel that small points of suffering, bitterness, sadness, anger, deception, disappear from your mind to not return. Like aged leaves that are shed from trees, let go of those feelings that no longer serve you. And gently, but most assuredly, discard them. Let the wind of life carry them so far away that they are unable to return and recreate their negative link. Little by little, your emotional tree sheds its negative feelings, becoming clean and ready for its renovation. Without the weight of those dead leaves, you feel lighter and are able to feel the gentle water of life now abundantly falling onto your physical body, spiritual body, and soul. This water cleans, disinfects, purifies, deconstructs, and tones all the cells of your body. Nothing can escape its renewing action. At the same time it is cleaning and moisturizing your body, this crystalline liquid satiates your spirit, eliminating affliction, anxiety, and unrest. Now within your heart resides a sense of calmness, cleanness, and well-being. Then the light of God emerges to warm and snuggle you, while caring rays penetrate your whole body and tenderly embrace you like a maternal hug, which brings comfort and safety to your heart. At this moment, great love warms your heart and removes the coldness resulting from any affliction. Now, your mind contains only feelings of joy and confidence. You are at peace and enveloped by a protective warmth. The heart of life offers you perfumed flowers. Then, with a grateful and happy soul, you gather their colorful petals that penetrate your whole being, restoring feelings and emotions of happiness, hope, faith, courage, and determination, helping you to regain the willingness to live. In addition to the perfume and color, nature also shares with you the best it has to offer, an infinite capacity for restoring its sublime beauty, even when struck by evil that appears to enact its end. Divine hands full of light gently overflow and spill over you like a golden waterfall of unspeakable and unknown essence. Little by little, your soul is impregnated with sweet happiness, allowing an inner renewal of the most noble and elevated purposes, that of progress and accomplishment. Showered by this sublime power, you deeply surrender to the donor of light, absorbing energy that now gives your life a new and blessed impulse. You called me, and here I am. What do you want from me today? What do you need? Ask, my son. Ask, my daughter. I am here to help. Now, ask your special request to Jesus, enumerating the problems and difficulties that afflict you. I listen to your request with love and attention. Now I count on your faith and trust in me to solve your problems. Go in peace. I am watching over you, and I will not lose sight of you. Believe in God and also believe in me. I will be with you every day until the end. Be happy. Many blessings.
So for us now, it's an opportunity that we have to take the water, bring it home, and trust the loving and good spirits who are never tired of helping us. If you have any question, let us know. Thank you, Tony. And a reminder, and during the weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, we're going to be here on Sunday, and we're going to have a special activity. As you may have seen in the flyer, during these 2 weeks, we're just doing a special campaign connected to the birthright. Now it's for the mothers, not for the babies, because the community here did an amazing work helping, bringing a lot of support to the babies. Now to the mothers, we're going to make special bags. They have items that are specifically in need. And then if you're here on Sunday, on that Sunday, we're going to sort it out, put it in the bags. The children can also write messages per mom to make it very special to be delivered on Monday, the day after. And then as soon as we resume that, as soon as we finish, we're going to start the Christmas campaign as well as a community. We're still not spiritually allowed to do any physical effort outdoors, meeting people, but hopefully next year. For now, we're going to team up with an organization to create an opportunity to help people who are in need, because there are many. Okay? If you have a question, if you want to write someone's name in the book of prayer, feel free to do so. We just ask one at a time. The children will come here to you. All right? Thank you, friends.